Bonjour à tous, this is Mac Plays on Mac, and welcome into our first episode of 2025. In this first episode of the year, we have a lot of things planned for us. So first off, we are gonna rework on the post office and all of the communication. Like you see, like that huge post office over there was just too big for the area, so I decided to go with the Japan one, which is half of the size, and move another post office into the new neighborhood that we built. And I wanted to add more capacity by expanding the depots. The extra capacity should be able to provide support into the other area if needed. In the meantime, I'm adding also a lot of mailboxes. That's something that I actually didn't do in the past, and that's why we are not actually getting all of the mails that we're supposed to. So I'm just looking at wherever there is nothing, and I'm just adding capacity over here. So now that we have some money as well, we are trying to fight homelessness. And for this, we're going to build a service center and the welfare center as well in each of the neighborhoods. So right there, we're going to build that new service center, the one that came with the modern architecture park, and look at how amazing this building look. And finally, now we're gonna go into our original city, and I'm gonna have to break a block because this building is huge, and we're gonna add the welfare center. Now, because I took so much more room, I wanted to make sense. We're gonna widen the street now, make it more of a main area, and we're gonna add some pedestrian connection on each of the different access. Here we're gonna extend also the surface, and I want to densify. My point of view is when you repurpose the things, you need to densify to make sense of the cost of demolishing and rebuilding everything. So all of these buildings that I tried to add were actually not in demand. The population doesn't want this kind of thing, so I decided to expand as a neighborhood that we're working on in the previous episode with more single housing, because this is what actually right now the citizen wants, and I feel like since I want my population to grow, we should give to the people what they want. So I'm building kind of an odd grid over there. There is nothing in particular, nothing in mind. I'm just following some of all the grids that we had, and on top of this I want to make sure that I have perfect angles, so it's very easy to actually grow on them. Now, unlike all of the other neighborhoods that we did grow, I'm growing something different here. I have a mix of Japanese, a mix of UK, and then some European and some US. I did a bit of everything. I wanted to have a different style of neighborhood, and I'm pretty happy with the result of it. And the big portion over here that I left with the hill, I was thinking to actually use this as a beautiful park, use the natural terrain, as like a point of view for the city, and that's what we're gonna work on right now. So I'm looking at all of my different parks, and the one I kind of like is this one. The problem is it doesn't conform very well to the terrain. It actually makes the terrain conform to itself. So we're gonna go with a smaller park, leave it to the side, and then add a bunch of small parks all around and connect everything with different pedestrian walkway. And I'm gonna make sure to add some parking lot as well, just a bit, because this is still a neighborhood park, so I want everybody to be able to walk there, but just in case someone want to drive, there is still about 12 to 16 spots. Now we want to make sure there is a lush vegetation there. We're gonna add a bunch of trees. I usually like to plant trees that are medium to small sizes and that they have room to grow, Now for the surface, I want to have the very basic green lush surface that makes it very manicured. I think that fits very well this area, and we're also gonna add a bit more trees. Last week we extended our road over here to add our college next to the downtown, but also we added some of the mixed density with mixed residential and using the urban promenade. But now what I want to do is I want to finish this area to make it worthwhile. We're gonna add a bunch of taller buildings, including some of the European asset, but also I want to utilize Japanese medium density and make sure that we have some nice apartment, like nothing too big, but nothing too small neither. I want to make sure it's consequent, and we're gonna flatten the whole area over there to make it like a nice terrace. And of course, pedestrian is always the first focus of all of my builds. even if it doesn't mean like it's always very useful. I just like to make sure that people can walk there if they want to, as it gives a nice view to the ocean or to the sea. We didn't define what it was. We want to make sure that there's some greenery, some small vegetation, including trees, and everything has room to grow. Again, more pedestrian connection like there, and there's a bit of a hole here, so I want to add more of this Japanese building and a small park. Now this is where the most important part of the build come today. So it took me a while to find the right area. I was in between this spot and the spot on the other side. I want to build a university campus, and the main university I think is just too big of a building, too old school, and that's not gonna fit the vibe over here. I wanted something more modern, and that's why I went with the Japanese university. I think the size is very decent. We're also gonna add another one on the top part of our modern college, even if it's not gonna be utilized very well because we don't really need to. I just think it suits the area very well. Building in terrace, respecting the terrain, making sure that everything is flat is very important. We have a nice, very gentle curve that's gonna go all the way up, and here I made sure to modify this into a key wall so we can utilize as much of the space here. And finally, we missing a lot of elementary school. As always, the demand is always big, so I thought this was the perfect location to actually add two of these elementary building next to each other, just like this. And that's where mods are very important. It helps you to make everything fit to what you want. For example, just by itself the building didn't look like it belongs there, but now because I can just make them move, I can just make them surface blend better into the side, give them more purpose, it just helps a lot. Now here we're gonna add a couple park, make it like a plaza, and we're gonna make sure to respect the different surfaces by having them mixed together. I just thought it was helping. And we are gonna build also the extension for the middle school, just in case in the future we're gonna need it for sure. And finally, I don't want this to be just a whole giant cul-de-sac, so we're actually gonna go around the mountain just like this, trying to find easy slope, very gentle, and we're gonna connect to the roundabout. And now, using the complex curve tool, we're just gonna make this amazing smooth connection between these two roads, which didn't start well because I actually did a very bad job at the first road. Now here I don't need this hill anymore, it's just too much room, and I just want to have some extra housing, student housing, or just housing in general. Like I'm gonna have a pedestrians walkway all around, actually streets, not walkway, all around the university. And here we're gonna use this new parking lot that came with the Detailer patch 2.0 update. I just love this road, it's incredible. Now you see me struggling a lot, and that's my bad. I should have just gone with building the road. I'm paying too much attention to details here, because what I should have done first is just build that road over here, make sure like it was the way I wanted, and build it, and then use Move It to make sure that they go where they want, like they actually like smooth together. Because the problem is, while you build the road, it's going to change the whole thing, and then my roads are not aligned anymore, so I still have to do it. Like I just made my life so much harder. One of the things that I'm not a big fan while I use road for parking lot is that you cannot control the price of this area. You can control the price of the general street parking into the city, but not just of this road itself, so that's too bad. So now I wanted to have a walkway path along our parking lot and our university, so I decided to build one, and I thought it was a very good idea. But the thing is, it didn't conform to the terrain very well. For whatever reason, it just went very high up, so I used Move It and Control H all of it, and even if it went even worse. So I tried to one by one move them, and it actually didn't work at all, so I just gave up on it. And then I looked, and I think it's because there is an actual net lane underneath it that was doing what I wanted to do anyway, so I just reused the surface from the side, and I just built that path like this. I didn't even need a path. That's I think what the issue was. Now we're gonna extend that with a pedestrian road here, and I'm gonna use that amazing asset. This is a beautiful, unique building. The thing is, I don't see why this building has so much parking here. Usually when you have a big building like this, the parking is included inside the building, in part of the tower or underground, so that's too bad. I want density, you know, and there is like so much wasted space, so I'm gonna reuse it and delete all of the side of the building like this, so I don't have the parking lot, and I'm gonna add my own parking. So here I was looking at different type of parking, and I'm gonna go with this 2 small parking lot, and later we're gonna add a parking garage next door. So now I'm working with all of the surface and make sure everything looks smooth. It's very hard. I was like, this is a very empty area, so I'm very happy I can put some of this new amazing pocket parks that we have. Unfortunately, all of the park disappeared after a few minutes. I don't know why. I think it's because they're on top of the building and there's a conflict, but it's very bad because now it's just like empty space. So I'm just gonna have to prop up everything with my own props, and that's too bad. Here we're gonna have some of this low rent housing from the French expansion, and I think it suits very well as student housing, so I'm very happy about it here. And now for this side, the south side, I didn't know what to do, so I wanted to see different kind of building. I wanted to tune it, so I growed some, and I wanted to see, like, compare all of the things. And the style that I actually liked the most was very oddly the one that grew itself. It was a urban promenade one, so I'm just gonna actually use this one and copy it all around here. I think it does a beautiful job here. We're just gonna drag it closer to the road, and we also later down make sure that the road fits better here, so I'm just gonna push it back so I can have a nice tree wall so there is less noise. And here we're gonna add more connections. I want to fill all of this. This is a very expensive area. It's a very dense area, very important area, and everybody wants to be there, so I need to make sure that it reflects this. And we're gonna create a name for it. It's gonna be University here. Now while I do this, I want to make sure that all of the service in the area can actually service that new area, because all of my service from Edgewater, I don't want them to go into our main old city, so that's why I have to every time do this. Now we're gonna build again in terrace. That's the best way to do it when you have different type of terrain, and I'm gonna have like an upper deck and a lower deck. I'm gonna try to reuse some of the buildings that we keep some of the buildings that we had before, but before that I wanted to see because I got somebody who complained about internet being very bad, and it's true, I have no antenna in the area, so we're just gonna plop a few antenna in a different area where it kind of makes sense, where there is density and where it doesn't actually put a problem to the resident as well. I don't want them to look very ugly where they are, and we're gonna make sure to max them out, all of them. It's very interesting how now it's so easier for me to make money. Like, it's the growth just help a lot. The tax income just make the bulk of my money, so that helps. So let's see what we have here. I want a signature building here, something that's big, that can look at all of the city, but that does still make sense. And I think this Japanese building suits very well with the university. And here I wanted to put some the same building, but like in a stair kind of thing, you know, when they are like all at a different level. I just think it looks very nice. We're just gonna use Move It to make a gentle curve. We're just gonna put some trees later and make sure that it looks lush and it doesn't look odd. In the meantime, we are gonna work on the other side. So what you see me build actually is not what's gonna be staying, because the game crashes. Actually, I'm having quite a few crashes since the detailer patch update. It's very frustrating, but I mean, it's fine. You just have to have autosave enabled, like I do every 5 minutes, and I don't lose much of my work anyway. I was not very happy in the way I built that train track, so I'm gonna make it more gentle, and also like we're gonna be able to save some space in the meantime. I did that because I also wanted to have, and I forgot how to do it, but not retaining wall, I wanted sound wall, just to make sure that the sound of the highway doesn't perturbate too much the people living right next to the university. Also, that beautiful asset, the Japanese university, doesn't have much tree in it. It's very industrial or brutalistic, so I just wanted to add some greenery. It looked a bit too empty in it, and that's why you see me adding all of these lush trees around, and that's actually the building I went for. So it's the same building. I repeated 3 times, but one of them is a different level, that's why it's higher up, and I think it looks very very well together. And in the meantime, we're gonna create a plaza all around it. We're gonna add some pocket parks and also a motorcycle parking as well, just right there. And we're gonna make sure that the pedestrian can use all of this by creating some pedestrian path invisible. And to make it more pleasing to the eye, we also gonna add some fountains, some benches, some little shops, to do things. Of course, none of this is actually gonna be working, but it's just for the style of it. We're gonna add some benches over here and some vegetation, some trees, and also some flowers just right there. It's amazing to have all of these mods, all of these buildings, but trees, paths, just small props, they just add so much realism to your city. And I'm not a big propper, like I don't do a lot of details and stuff like this. First off, because I can't, because my computer cannot re-handle all of this, but also because I'm not that creative in kind of things. There's so many people that are so much better in terms of detailing. Like I'm just doing very very light details on my build. And honestly, I'm very proud of University Hills neighborhood. I think I'm very happy with all of the things that I did. It's not too much, and it's just look good overall if you're gonna take a look at it. Now, a very big surprise for next weekend. You're gonna see it's gonna be incredible. I can't wait for you to see that, honestly. But in the meantime, let's take a look at everything we achieved today. Thank you so much for staying with me today. Merci beaucoup à tous. This was a very cool episode. I'm very happy about it. But honestly, next week, big surprise. So stay tuned. Au revoir. À la semaine prochaine. Bye bye. Take care.